right, machine learning part A. Okay, all right, video 2. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Create a new R markdown file. Okay, you know, I didn't do a presentation today. It's fine. I think that let's just jump right into it. It's easier in this situation to just jump right into it. All right, so what we're going to do is create a new R markdown file. Okay, press OK. I do this, erase this, right? And what we're going to do is, remember I told you I have a code that already has, you know, the library set up and the data that I need. Okay, this is the data that I need. Okay, library set up. Okay, boom. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is, again, you already saw this data set, but I'm going to run this data, right? Run this chunk. And I'm actually going to visualize it, or not visualize it, view it. And so when I view it, again, we have state, profit, administration spend, promotion spend, advertisement spend, okay? And so in terms of state, let's actually go a little deeper in terms of state today. I mean, in this video, let's just look at it just for our own sake. If I do table, and I do SM underscore, and then I do $ state, I can see more about the state. So we know that there's 17 California, 16 Florida, 17 New York. Great, fantastic. Okay. What I'm going to do for one moment, just so I can get a better grasp on the quantitative variables, just like I got a grasp on the state, the categorical variable, I'm going to just remove the actual state variable and analyze the quantitative variables. So there's what I'm going to do for how to do that, hopefully you all know how to do that. We should do SM plus data frame, so supermarket business data frame, pipe. What function should I use to remove the state variable? Hopefully you said select, right, minus, right, state. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to name this again modification 1 data frame, or business data frame. Okay, so I run this, I view it just so I can look at it. Okay, all my quantitative variables. So one of the cool things about R is that we can find a bunch of correlations all at once, meaning that I want to see the correlation of all my quantitative variables. I want to know what is linearly associated amongst each other within my data frame. So I'll use this core function. You saw this last week, mod1. Okay, and it's not perfect in terms of looking at it. This is what I would call a matrix. I'll call this a correlation matrix, right? Let's actually run this again with more, so that I have more. So I can see this is a small matrix, right? Okay, so profit and profit, it gets a correlation of 1 because it's the same number. However, profit and administration spend, you know, 0.74. That's the same thing in terms of profit and administration spend right up here. Sorry, right down here. Boom. But that might be kind of confusing. Let's actually visualize this then. Let's actually visualize what I'm saying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new R chunk. And I'm actually going to, no, I won't create a new one. I'll save space. So I'll call it core business mat is equal to. Okay, so I'm going to make this, I'm going to save this. So this is a correlation business matrix. Okay. I'm going to then use this function. If you installed and you ran this chunk that had library Corrplot, you're looking good, right? You already have this information. What you're going to now do is utilize this function called Corrplot, and what you need to give it is this correlation matrix. Okay, correlation matrix. And so let's just move this here, run this. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Okay, so the dark blues represent a correlation of 1. The light blues is not correlation of 1, a little less than correlation of 1. These little darker, this darker blue compared to this light blue is, you know, correlation around 0.6, 0.8. And if there's no correlation, if it's small, there's no circle, you say the correlation is close to 0. So for example, it says profit and promotion spend. Profit and promotion spend is somewhere around negative 0. Profit and promotion spend. Where am I? Administration spend and promotion spend, my apologies. That's where it is somewhere around negative 0.03. So ideally, when you're looking at this correlation plot or even matrix, you're looking at the bottom left. It's the same. It's a mirror towards the top right. So just look at the bottom left. Gives you the same information. All right. So that's correlation plot. Yay! One of the next things that we're going to do is do what we did in the data science video and replace all those spaces within the name. So I have the code, you have the code. I'm going to copy and paste it just like how you have it. You can do that. And what I'm doing here is I'm replacing all my spaces with string replace function with an underscore. And the rationale for that is because I'm trying to reduce, difficult code looking things. So that does that. So if I do, ideally I should do this to mod 1, but it's fine. I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep it to the supermarket business data frame. I'm going to actually use this one in particular. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run a regression model. Okay. I'm going to run a regression model so that we can see, just run a regression model, more or less a linear model. My apologies. Same name, but linear model is more generic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this linear model, and I'm going to use profit as my response variable, and I'm going to use administration spend as well as promotion spend. And so now that if you ran the line 38, you have underscores you can now use. Your data is going to be equal to SM business data frame. Okay, and so this is I'm gonna call this model A so that you all don't get stuck using 1 and 2s. It doesn't matter as long as you have a name for the model, you're fine. And then what also I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a summary of model A. Okay, and so when I do that, you see the regression coefficients, model A, and the advertising spend is large, right? That makes sense. And promotion spend is not that. It's not. All right, my apologies. When I said this is the P, I'm looking at the P value here. It's indicating if I should include these variables or not. And so here you can see that advertising spend, as I said earlier, is doing well in terms of the P value, right? And then the promotion spend is not doing too well in terms of the P value. One of the fun things I just learned recently is that you can copy and paste it. Say, for example, you get messed up with the decimals E. If you just paste this here, it will convert it for you, right? It will convert it for you. So you copy and paste this here, it will do the conversion for you, okay? So it's kind of neat. So some of the things that we want to take note of is the adjusted R squared, because we're using 2 explanatory variables, and we're also going to look at the amount of variable left unexplained. So that's the residual. It's the error squared. Some of the error squared is divided by n minus 2, or in this case it's going to be n minus 3. All right, so summed, right? It's like the average of the errors. Okay, so one of the next things I want to do is, just as we are looking at this particular situation, I'm actually just setting up the groundwork for some more analysis on this for tomorrow. So just note that this is what we're doing. All right, thank you very much, and I look forward to talking to you all in the next video, part B.